according to. So we have a technical reference architecture portal style guide supplement.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is they seem to have some thoughts in there with the pattern. It's not too restrictive, which is nice. But the bad news is they have not considered user interface. So at the high level, they've given you some introduction, some page structure, and then there's this post authentication layout. And basically, it kind of restates what we know already, which is we have a constraint with what's on top of the portal, the header, and we have a constraint with what's on the bottom. And then between that, we have kind of flexibility of whatever we want to have. I think I've shown you, the design for a molded dialog, and that's just kind of the convention that you use when you're like, oh, geez, the structure that's, and by the way, I'm going to speak with some of my Midwestern cadence a little bit, but whenever there's something that you want to do that's just too big for the page, you can use it. They have this molded dialog convention, which I think I've shown kind of how to do that. But then after that, they have kind of a way of building the pages where it's you have a grid, and within the grid, there are components. And I'm going to show you that page layout. And what I'm going to propose is, there is a permutation of, I believe, 12 different ways that you could design every page. And I'm proposing that we just take a portion of that because I don't think we have the bandwidth to make that many designs for each page. And I'll show you kind of the simplified one. But there's under page 6, there's they have the concept of portlets. And we'll go into that. I call them, rectangles, portlets, widgets, but basically changing the perspective of saying, hey, there's one big page we're designing. We're just designing sections that happen to later on be stitched into a page. So they have a couple arrangements, a 3, 4, and a 5 portlet arrangement. I don't think that necessarily applies to us, but they do have kind of a grid layout. And I'm going to show you what they have documented here and then show you a real example of what CMS has. They have a 1-column grid layout, which basically just is set up so you don't have any portlets. It's everything just kind of it looks like a conventional web page. It just consumes left to right. You have a 2-column layout where you can kind of have portlets put in there that are supposed to just kind of kind of a main section where they want to have data, and then on the left-hand side on a 3-column grid. What I'm going to propose is that we use the 3-column grid and a 2-portlet pattern. And I'm going to just show where this is in the document, and then I'm going to show you where it is in real life on the CMS site. So they've got mock-ups of the page. This is pre-login here. Footer, we don't have a choice. We have to have that. And now they have some kind of layouts. This, by the way, the tile that they have for number 4 and number 8 is what I'm proposing. What you're looking at here is what one could consider a 3-column layout where, this portlet tile, if you wanted to, you could stack 4 portlets of number 4 across from each other. And you would have the option of stacking, just 1, 8, which takes over 2 columns, and having 4 to the right of that, this size to the right of that. And the reason why I like that is I'll show you in a bit with the responsive page. They don't take advantage of this one. You could do a 3-column layout and then just have it repeat. So if the page is, if someone's monitor is twice as wide, these portlets could just stack out to the right. So let me just kind of show you this. This is their 2-column layout, 3-column layout again. And again, there's so many different ways to do it, but I'm proposing that we just take the simplest. So let me show you how this looks on the CMS site. CMS.gov seems to have it. So they have, here's their 1-column layout. And so it's basically they have 2 different ways of sizing it, like kind of a coarse grain sizing and then a tighter grain sizing here. So they have a 1-column grid layout here, and then a CSS that's just doing the media query, it's detecting as you're getting narrower, to make the text bigger, which is nice. However, I suspect the users of our portal are going to be using monitors that are wide, and from what I've seen from the demos, we seem to have a different challenge, which is how can we better use the screen real estate. So as I expand this, it's going to go to this 2-column layout. Still one column. All right, boom, 2 column. And again, you'll notice here, this is a read-only website. So it's not that big of a deal how the things are laid out. It's just like a pretty newspaper. If you're to actually do work, though, probably not great. If you take a look at this screen, so I have a plugin here. No, I don't. Sometimes I have a browser plugin where you can measure this stuff. But if this were a screen where you could do actual work, well, this doesn't really, presumably your application could be right here, and that's probably not a great use of the real estate. But there, so I just wanted to point out, I just want to make a little distinction. Their portal style guide is great, and it's been designed around a read-only type of system. Doesn't have user interaction, which is what we're going to have. And they don't seem to have implemented the style here, but they have, in theory, they're supposed to have a 3-column layout. So when it's really wide, some of these items on the left-hand side could also fill out the right-hand side. And one of the things that they have different here is that that you kind of have one portlet. One portlet is this is about 1/3 of the grid, and then this portlet is 2/3 of the grid over here. So that's kind of what the portlet has from a looking how I'm proposing that we implement it here. And we cover this a little bit in the advanced design part, but it's don't get too distracted by the behaviors, but there's this concept called responsive design. In responsive design, and I'm not sure if I'm sounding like a broken record, I don't know who all I've spoken to on this one, but responsive design is basically this capability in web browsers now to detect how wide your screen is, so that when you adjust the size, it just redraws it. So what I have implemented here is a 3-column layout, and with the assumption that that there will always be the minimum, if we have it narrowed, we could at least put in our big container, which is a width of 669 and a height of 790. And the assumption is if you have a narrow screen, the user will have to do more scrolling up and down, and as they get a wider screen, that the screen redraws and takes advantage of it. And this is a little bit different than what we have on the CMS side. The CMS, and this is where I want to kind of see if we could avoid doing. Here they've got a bunch of different styles. It is 1 column, and they're just kind of restyling this 1 column, I guess, to kind of take better advantage of this, but you're not necessarily able to do more work. By kind of keeping this fixed, and keeping this fixed here, we don't have to necessarily make a bunch of designs. Everything that we make, we're just going to make we're going to deliver our functionality in nice standard rectangles. So there'll either be a small rectangle. Each page will have a small rectangle and a big rectangle. And I'll show you what we've done so far with reusable registration. So this is just one master I have repeating over and over again. I think that was that with the style guide. And then did I show you a little bit of the light box, the modal box that we did for reusable registration, so you can kind of see how that works?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Let me just show it in here so you know that it's rooted in this one. Okay, so here's an example of a modal dialog box. So this one's a warning, but for us, when we're doing something like perhaps adding something to a table and there's just simply not enough room on the screen, instead of having like a pop-up window, which is, I guess, that's no longer the way things are done with browsers, you can make a modal box, so you just have put a transparency over the background, so the user knows that they didn't leave anywhere, but before they can continue, they can do some work in this area. And so we've been working on reusable registration on that, but I believe landing page is going to have some modal boxes in there. So with that said, are you familiar with responsive design? I'm guessing you must. I mean, having gone on the web before, you've seen pages that respond. Are you kind of familiar with that concept?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then just the last part too. I thought I just put it out here that I thought I liked on it. It was in the appendix, and I just want to make sure it's known that this is a UI document and not a system document. So they provided some recommendations in terms of uh, you know practices you should use, and these are just good for iRise as well. Where possible, you want to externalize your style sheets and JavaScript. It gives you better performance. Well, same thing for iRise. The page loads faster for some reason if you apply a style than if you style it locally. However the system works. So I'm guessing it just must use standard iRise conventions. And then the other part is just external JavaScript files. The way we put those in there is by using iBlocks. Now, have you installed an iBlock yet with iRise?
Yes.
If you have. Okay, great. So then you'll see that's how some of this functionality right here. I'm using this liquid layout iBlock, for example, which uses part of the jQuery library that iRise or that CMS uses anyway. So calling this function wouldn't put any extra load. The one part that they did mention in here, and I just want to make sure it doesn't get misunderstood, is they talk about trying to limit the number of HTTP requests. And from my perspective, it seems like we probably are going to have many HTTP requests because we're going to have a portlet with many things in there. Here's an example of where we last left. I think we had something with the team to, I thought it was under team 2. We were, reusable registrations right here. So here's kind of an example of this in practice. And then the way this impacts our team is that instead of trying to design many small things, we can kind of start making bigger portlet designs. So for the reusable registration here, just some small portlets I've made. If we're going to create a model, you can start putting in the model. Right now I have create and edit as the same item here. And we're still trying to kind of figure out all the different components. But as we're getting the functionality, and I think we started to style this, some of the requirements we're now is trying to kind of put these into the screen. So for example, we have a big view of the model and then a list view of all the different models where you would be able to edit it, view it, terminate it, and inactivate it. Those are the terms that we have right now. So I think that's what we have now, and this is kind of like the quick overview. And now, if we could want to work on some of the styling that we have for some recent requirements that we got, that I just gathered from Thomas on reusable registration. So let me get our kind of launch page set up here. Did anyone else join? Let's see. Just you and me. Okay. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. Yes? All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. Let me go and get what I grabbed from Thomas, and then we can kind of get to the same page. Okay, so we have this RF application. I'm going to move this up to Team 1. Sorry about that. I've moved this up to our Team 1 page. I'm going to scroll this up here. All right here, Team 1. So Chen Yu, if you could move to the Team 1 folder, I'm going to put this here as well as I think we have a style guide that Team 2 is working on. Style Master. And Chen Yu, you're not on landing page. You're reusable registration, right? Because
yeah, I'm on the registration. Yeah.
okay, so I was going to gear this towards registration. This there's Manica was working on landing page, so we were kind of doing some style stuff there for. But let's do reusable registration. So okay, we have Center Practice Team 1. You know, I'm going to make this a master. I'm sorry, one moment. Sorry about that interruption there. I've just saved this as I'll just put this the Team 2 controls. That way, when we are starting to work on the Team 1 stuff, cool. And I think Team 2 Style Master, perfect. Okay, so the first one. So we started. So I was working with Thomas, and wanted to start making a page for this identification questionnaire. And here's the high level part of the reusable registration. We're working on this application part. The way I understand it works is someone gets identified by CMS that they would like to have associated or registered for some incentive because CMS has come up with some innovative way of providing health care, and this awardee is kind of pre-selected, and they get something and they put in their credentials, and after they log in, the system's just going to know information about them. And the neat part about the simulation is we don't even have to know how that works, but we're just going to be simulating an all-knowing, all-powerful computer. And then later on, we'll figure out how it got to know that information. So at the high level, the way this works is after the user logs in fact, we could probably drop that out, that login page that we made back earlier on. So after the user logs in, that we made a login page. Oh, let's see, login page, find reference. Perfect. After after you log in, we just kind of have some magic that happens in the computer where they get to this application where they are going to confirm when they log in that the organization that they're coming from is in fact them. They're going to confirm or actually add contact information. They're going to give some information or confirm information in terms of where they're located. And then there's a couple other clouds that we haven't quite figured out yet. But these guys, we have some pretty good requirements, and we just now need to style this so that it can fit inside of a grid. We want it to, we need a small and a large view of this. And I'm just going to have this kind of in the background so we can kind of see what this needs to look like. So they'll go to login, there'll be some like grid page, and we now need to be able to convert this. We need a small version of this one and a big version of this. Let's start with the small one. So Chun Yu, can you navigate, see if I can get you to that first part, the way we got here. You go to Team 1, go to the RRF application, and we are going to start working on this guy right here, this awardee organization. I'm going to color him blue so we can see that we're working on him. Do you see this one? Are you able to navigate here? So double click this, and we're going to just kind of style it on this screen, and after that, don't even look at this as a screen. This is a canvas that you're working on. Theoretically, it shows up on a web page, but try to kind of in your mind look at this as a screen. I'm going to drop in some of the controls that we have just as a reference. Team 1, Team 2 controls. There are a couple common conventions that we've been working on, so if we want to, this is kind of our quick way of referencing them. Just as an FYI, the way this works, you'll see up here on the left-hand side, we have these two A's. This is our style guide, and what we've done is we've made just kind of a little glossary right here of things that we can choose from. So if I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be able to get an expand item because I'm making one of those small portlets, I go to Team 2 expand icon, and now I have that exact same control. And because I use the style sheet, it makes it show up quicker and quicker. Do you see how I did that?
Yes.
Okay. So let's, when we get started, let's go ahead and just start making a page. It's best to start from the outside in. Let's erase the drawings here. Oh, attendees can draw too. I'll let you draw if you ever want to draw anything here. So let's go ahead and let's make a small container first. I'm going to, underneath this control item right here, could you please put in a section? And I'm going to just see if you could make a section that is 390 pixels wide and 324 pixels high. And then we're going to want to style it using this Team 2 portlet container, so we kind of get that nice rounded box on there.
What's the width?
The width is container width. I'll put that text on the page so you can see it.
I got that.
Yeah, in fact, if you want, I could put that. What I try to do is just get you used to just seeing this on the screen, so you don't have to you don't have to be relying on the master. Oh, I see that you have it here. Oops. I think the container height was 390. All right, so that small container, and then we also need to make this, we need to call this identification questionnaire. I'm sure they're going to probably, I think all this should be called, because it's related to letter of intent. This, right now, I guess we'll just call it identification questionnaire. This needs to be styled using, I'm going to add this here. This is the portlet header. The portlet header, all that text needs to be styled using portlet header. So if you can click this guy. So you need to, a couple things. One is we need to style this container. We want the nice rounded container right there. So use that Team 2 portlet container. This guy right here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to Team 2. And then, okay, great. I see that's rounded. Now this identification questionnaire, we want that one to be styled to be Team 2 portlet header. Cool. Oh, got more than what we needed there. So perfect. We may have lost our dimensions here. The dimension we want should be 324 wide. And you only want the text style there. This guy, we don't want him to be the portlet header. We want this to be portlet container.
Okay.
And then this, so you select each item that you want to have styled. So try to just click the identification questionnaire and style only that text box. And we want the section to have its own style. So you should see this.
Should be portlet header.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not personal header. Portlet header. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we need to wrap this. I didn't do a good job of speccing that out, but this needs to be wrapped in a section. I'm going to just wrap it in a section here. I didn't do a good job of specifying it, but it's supposed to be 40 pixels high. And the width is I normally just give it a little space. So since this guy is a small one, he needs to have an expand icon. So if you click it, this guy would become big. So we're making a small view. So could you make him the Team 2 expand icon?
Expand icon. Expand icon. I could not find the span icon.
All right, let me see. Team 2. It's Team 2 expand. So let me see. Where did I? Right here. Oh, you know what? I've got a couple different Team 2. There's Team 2, where it's all caps. It's Team 2 expand icon right here, but it's where it's all capitalized.
Okay. I see.
At some point, yeah, perfect. But we actually want this section. So you got this guy. This one, so you found the right one, but you want to make sure that the right, you styled the wrong item here.
So I need to delete this one.
So yeah, so this one should be portlet container, and then this guy.
Oh.
Oops.
Okay.
And this is the one you want to have styled where it's the expand icon.
Okay.
Perfect. So we have the identification questionnaire. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to have this data kind of populated from a data sheet here. This is, we've created a master that's probably too wide. Let's see. So let's kind of find out our what we want to put in here. So this is just data that we want to put in there. So I'm thinking let's make our read-only view, and then we're going to need to have text that will show up here. So my thought on this one is since there's a lot of text, we could kind of just show, let's see, how do we want to do this? With such a small size here, well, we'll need to have a letter of intent identification. Let's see how much space this thing takes up. So that one takes up kind of the whole place there. So I'm thinking we'll probably want to have a style for a label and a style for data. So, this is going to be wrapped in this section here. All right, so letter of intent number, and then let's just make I think we're going to want to create a new style here. So let's make one, we're team 1, so let's make it a team 1 label, portlet label, field label. Data label. We want a team 1 data label, and we're going to want a team 1 data value. So let's go ahead. I'm thinking for here, just for having something different, let's just have the label always underneath it, because we might not have enough room to have it on the side. Oops. I'm sorry, one moment. All right, sorry about that. So let's just, for the sake of having something there, we'll make a label here. We'll size 12. Even though that looks small, that's a size 12 font. And that'll be good. See what that looks like here real quick. Yeah, we'll have our data label, which could be the letter of intent number, and then above that, we'll just kind of have the value. Trying to see if that's how, probably the best way to do that. So team 1 data label, and that's what this one will be. So save this as a new format, or I think they call it save as new style. This is the team 1 data label. Here's our team 1 data label, and then the letter of intent number, we're going to just make that as a number, and we need to have this one pulled from record. I think we went a little bit on the records, so we have a concept of a persona, which is like basically our test client, whoever we're going to have in there. So there is a persona that's called program registration. I thought I'm going to make one called awardee delegate, or for the scenario, reusable registration. We'll get a name from Thomas on this one, but so we're going to have a guy called for our reusable registration. He's our standby constant right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to need to do two things. One is we're going to need to start kind of populating this with kind of numbers with data here. We're going to have a team 1 data label and a team 1 data value. Give it a I'm not sure. I'm going to come back and I'll get a proper style from Adobe on this one, but we'll use the Team 2 data value. Identi. All right, so Chun Yu, our task at hand now is we need to add spots for all this data, and everything that we're doing here is Team 1, just to kind of find it. And I'm going to, and so we have two styles. We'll kind of put this in our own style control. We'll make our own kind of master there so we can see all the styles that Team 2 has. And we need to start having this populate. So this is a persona dot letter of intent information. I'll call it identification. And I'm going to go ahead and just put in and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of split up and do the data, and I can have you do the other stuff. So if you could kind of go ahead and just fill this out right here, and don't worry about the length going too far. Could you please take each one of these items here and just put them in on the bottom, and I'm going to attach that to the data sheet.
Okay.
So, and what you can do just to kind of save it, you can just kind of just do a control and drag, and that's Team 1 data label. So you change it to Team 1 data label.
Okay.
You know, and it's bolded there. So you know what the best part is, just for all these clear formatting, that's kind of like a reboot. And then make it the Team 1 data label just so it doesn't have anything left over.
Okay.
and then you can just put in something, and it's I think Beiying was the one who talked about that. Yeah, just kind of figure all that stuff out there, and then if there's a sizing issue, we can kind of work on that. So it looks like organization name as appears on letter of intent. That's C. All right, so I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to work on the data, and don't worry about this. It's just kind of a copy, and I'm thinking if that one's too small, we already have spelled out the acronym LOI up here at the top, so you could probably just shorten this one down.
Okay.
So this one, we could probably just on LOI. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put in some stuff here, and I'll let you style it. And then you'll just have to on this one. I'm not going to format the data. But I'll let you format the data values too. This one should be the organization name. This one is more of a and there's a good chance after we put the data here, we're going to rethink how we want this stuff formatted. Let's see, what do we have for our options here? And I can make this this spaghetti kind of disappear. It's just the right click collapse, but I need to be able to see what I've attached things to. And then market area location. And then after this, we get the fun part. They want to be able to edit it. You know, that's just a beautiful thing about customers. They give you something like, oh, yeah, it's going to be all known, omniscient, and then, by the way, it needs to be editable. Excellent. So these top ones, we want to make sure that they're using the Team 1 data value. And these other ones want to have that there. So now we can just kind of select everything. I'm going to gather we probably have exceeded some of our height and width, and we can address those issues momentarily. Well, it looks like we can kind of fit within the width. But they also want to have the ability to edit and I don't know if that's for demo purposes or something like that, but we're going to need to have some edit capability. Why? There's something here that it's... that guy was making... Delete. All right, now we should be able to get smaller. All right, pretty good. Oh, wait, does this even fit within the original dimensions? Let's see. $390. Oh, not bad. Okay, so we have $390 here, and then we're going to need the ability to edit. So I guess we could just put down an edit icon somewhere. We could just, let's kind of tighten these up, make them just a little bit closer. Yeah, and I guess we'll just put edit here at the bottom. I don't know if that's exactly how we want to do it, but we'll just kind of represent it right there. Edit. But now we need to make another version of this one with editable fields. So the big difference between an edit one and a normal one is we need to have a form. So this was the read. This is kind of their information that they have here. Boy, I'm thinking that needs to be LOI identification questionnaire. Actually, get rid of the word questionnaire. Identification. Oh yeah, wordy organization identification. So that's really what this thing ought to be. Well, we'll come back to that one. So that's kind of what our name is here. So we want to have an edit version of this one, and I can go ahead and before we, yeah, and that's good because then we can control the data with the edit. So we have this one. Now we have our read only. Now we want to have an edit version of this one. So now that we've accomplished that, and I'm going to just collapse all this spaghetti so you don't have to look at that. Alternatively, you could hit F12 so you don't have to see the red spaghetti. We want another version of this one, but we want it to be editable. So if you hold down this guy and if you hold down the control button and drag, I'm going to do it, but I want you to do this too. We want basically this same thing, and if you do a control and drag, we want this same thing, but we want the data to be editable. Can you do that, Chunyu?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Press Control and press.
So kind of mouse over here, kind of just hold down your control button and then just drag.
I use control button, but it doesn't drag.
It's on your keyboard right next to the function one. Alternatively, you can do Control C and Control V.
Yeah, I can use. So you mean I can copy and paste?
Okay, I'll let you do copy and paste, but ultimately you're going to see like basically the trick is you create it and then control and drag is kind of how you become extremely fast. So there you go. I see you made a copy of it. Since this is going to be an edit one, this one is a little bit different. We have to have it as a form. So we want to do right-click and convert to form. Can you do that? Oops.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to select anything there. Yeah. So convert this guy to a form, and we're gonna need a button here that does save. So that's a portal style that I don't have updated here, but it's our save. Great. Is this a form yet? Nope, not a form yet. So Chunyu, you want to convert this to a form right there. I just saw it turn blue perfectly. Okay, excellent. So now instead of the letter of intent, and forms tend to take up, once we turn this into a text box, you're going to see this probably is going to take up a little bit more space than you want. So letter of intent identification now needs to be a text box. So what I recommend doing is just kind of make our text boxes to the left of this guy and name them like that. Put your brackets around it. Because we're going to need a text box for each one of these, and then we're going to replace these labels with that. I'm going to just start kind of connecting them with the data in there. There's going to be an update and a save part there. All right, LOI org name. Do you have I noticed it's 2:01. Do you have a couple minutes to kind of finish this one off so we could have the update part?
I'm working on that.
All right, excellent. So now that these guys are all in there, we've got one part of the equation, which is we can kind of replace these text boxes and with or the labels with the text boxes.
I think one label is 1 million times.
And you might want to, it might be easier just to turn off the spaghetti. So you can kind of work from the bottom. So market location, you can kind of delete that guy and drag the label right on top of it.
How to do that?
So go ahead. Yeah, so Chang, you can work from the bottom. I'll work from the top. So I'm going to delete organization name, the text field, and I'm going to put in a data field right here.
Okay.
Drag them right there. Perfect. So the last thing we need to do is we need the save to then actually update the data. So I'm going to just go ahead and one last item here. We need to do an update persona. Record action, update persona. And we want the personal identification. So while I'm doing this one, could you add an action to save, and we want it to do a submit? Do you know how to do that one? We want to add an action right here.
Action, okay.
And then add an action. We want it to submit the form.
Add action, submit. Okay.
Excellent. Now we want that save to make that submit form be triggered. After that submit form is triggered, we want it to go to that data sheet. So drag a line from that submit form to the data sheet, little table that I have down there. And then after that, we want to have one more action. We want to have a navigation. We want it just for right now, just to refresh the page.
Auto refresh.
Yeah. It's a
another action.
That's you grab it right next to that action widget. It's this one that looks like an arrow right there.
Okay. And
and after we've done that, we now have made a style of the two views of that small letter of intent identification guy, and yeah, we'll just want to have a page refresh. So we do here, and Windows Control refresh. I'll let you connect them.
From the datasheet to the refresh.
Yes. Yep. That's kind of like the sequence of actions there. Perfect. So now what we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and launch this. Let's go ahead and see if we can update this information. Cool. So now we have this. We'll probably want to kind of fix up our styling here a little bit, but we're going to have this viewable area where you can see kind of your letter of intent. And then you also have this, I guess if you hit the edit button, this portlet would turn into this. I'm not sure if we really, oh, and then you need to say, check the specs if you confirm that it is accurate. So I'm thinking, since edit is kind of like a weird requirement, I'm just going to kind of stick that kind of control up here. That's probably not a great area for it, but it's something. Starting to think aligning left is the best bet. And then we'll have one last thing. They want to have this cancel submit functionality right here. And so I'm running a little bit out of space, so the trick for that is we're going to wrap this in a section. Wrap in section. There will be vertical scrolls, and we'll make it 250. Maybe it has to be within something to make it shorter. 250. Let's see. Oh, I see what I did. Don't expand. Now I can. Most of the time, the challenge is to make it so you don't get scroll bars, but every once in a while, you want scroll bars. So we'll have this part right here, and you hit this checkbox, submit shows up. Alternatively, they can hit this edit button, and it's going to go to here. So I think that's all we have for the section right here with reusable registration. Do you have any kind of questions on this? We're going to start churning out a bunch of these. And then after this, what I do is I just we'll turn these into masters. And then the masters I can just kind of plop into our template right here. In fact, if do you have 4 more minutes? I just want to kind of show how we can just kind of plug those right in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and just break this master reference here. So for example, if we wanted to see what we just made here, we'd save as the LOI master, or we'll call it the team 1. And again, I want to radiate the names through everything because the default name of master 1 isn't going to do me a whole lot of good when I'm trying to find it here. And it probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense that we're going to have add and edit on the same thing, but these things are all commoditizable, so or it's probably not they're all swappable. So we could just kind of start making whatever we want on the screen, and then the customer could say, oh, I don't want that that rectangle, I want a different one. And we can go ahead and just put those in. So I think on the small grid, here's our example right here. We go here, and we want to put in what we just created. I thought we had that under Team 1. Where did we create our items are located where? It's part of the reusable registration thing here, okay? So we'll make this the regular one here, and this will be the edit. And so here's the item here. Obviously, we don't have anything big right here. Let's kind of fix that style. All right. Sometimes you have to copy and paste that. You have to drop that that one straight into it. So let's move them up to Team 1 so it's easier to find it. Cool. Now our styles are making it through there. So sometimes you have to put them in right there at the part, but now we can decide that we might want to make that that column a little bit wider. But what we've just successfully done is we've made our problem. We've divided our the challenge of a screen size of building a screen. We've made it 1/6 the challenge. But now we have that, and it has all that magic of the responsive design stuff too still. So, and so I'm thinking what we'll probably do is, edit will cause this page to show up here, but now we can go ahead and put it into 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And save. All right. Probably have the same issue there. We'll just go ahead and drag and drop him directly into it. And now we have the 0. So anyways, that's kind of how that works. Is that does this kind of design make sense to you too?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And obviously the save one, that was apparently the footer rounded blue. We wanted to use the portal rounded blue. Now you get the same save submit part. Obviously, there are a couple things. Well, I kind of went through real quickly on the functional requirements to kind of figure this stuff out, but and this isn't even exactly the design pattern. There is a header that we're going to need to use, but it looks like it's got a dark blue or whatever. But since we have so this is the portlet style that we're going to be using at some point. So that expanding, that expand button is going to work just like their plus button. And I don't think we're going to want to use the X button because I think that just opens up too many navigation questions. So we're going to use the this one. We're making a 4 and an 8. So the portlet title, that'll all happen behind the background. But that since we applied all the styles there, we can actually start. We could say, hey, make all of our headers blue, just like the other one, and it will. But anyways, that's kind of that. We'll we're probably going to be working on this more with our advanced styling and design. So it's cool. And then are you starting to? I know there's a couple folks that are engaged to kind of start making real HTML that does this, because probably the sooner the better. We want to see how many errors we need to remedy from the JAWS 508 compliance machine. Have you heard anything about that?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Chung Yu, this is good. I'll go ahead and I'll post the encore presentation of this up there for all the Team 2 folks.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Talk
Thank
to you next one. See ya. Bye.
Bye.